Yes, Lord.
Right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining tonight. We started this journey on potent weapon or spiritual attack of the devil, and we talk about 7 of them. We started with deception, overcoming satanic attack manifested through deception. And we went to overcoming satanic attack manifested through lies. And we distinguish between deception and lies. The fact that deception means the person the person that is saying that thing that is not true is deceiving himself. So he doesn't know what he's saying is not true. But lies, in the case of lie, the person telling the truth is aware he's not telling the truth. The person making the statement is not aware he's not telling the truth, rather. Now, these are very potent weapons of attack. You know, there's something I discovered the devil has been able to do successfully. He has successfully distracted Christians to be chasing non-essentials. To be chasing, so it's like in Yoruba they will say the person is leaving the sickness and leaving the underlying factor and treating just symptoms. You know, so the devil makes Christians to believe that the way devil attack is by demonic possession, oppression, deliverance, casting out. But many people are attacked. They are not even aware they are under spiritual attack. Many Christians have been brainwashed. That spiritual attack, deception. The devil have recruited their pastor to brainwash them. So they have believed a lie. But that is a much more potent spiritual attack. But you don't hear about that. That does not make the news as a spiritual attack or as a tool in the hand of the devil. So the devil has been a smooth operator and sincerely is having an upper hand. He made Christians to fight themselves rather than Christians united together to be able to commonly fight the devil. Christians are fighting themselves. Oh, this is not what the Bible says. This is what the Bible says. This is not what the Bible says. So rather than focusing on unity in Christ, focusing on manifesting the kingdom, we are focusing on, no, don't wear this, wear that. Don't do this, do that. I think things that Jesus did not even bother himself about when he was on earth. Things that were not priority for him. They will give it to us as what we should hold and fight with. You know, when I look at the way the devil operates, many people don't understand him. He uses on common means, on how do I call it now? A deceptively potent method. Deceptively potent method to attack believers. So what we've discussed so far, we've talked about lies and deception, which are very potent. Many Christians today are deceived. They are very deceived. They don't even know their left from their right. I was with some people in the office yesterday and we're discussing this issue of religion, Christianity. And I was asking them that. I was saying that many Christians don't even understand the concept of Christianity, what Christianity is about. For many Christians, Christianity is about making it to heaven. So I asked them, when God created Adam and Eve, was there the need for salvation? There was no need for salvation. So if God created Adam and Eve before salvation became necessary, that means we had other reasons to be here beyond salvation. So salvation became an additional plan of God for mankind because his initial plan was messed up by the devil. So if I now focus on salvation as that, as immediately I'm saved, that's the only thing I need on this world, then something is wrong. That means when God created me before, is it that, okay, I was in heaven as a spirit. I was sent to the world. Because I was born of a woman, I became a sinner. Because in sin did my mother conceive me, and I was shapen in iniquity. Okay. Now that has been my predisposition, salvation became necessary. Then I became saved, and I said the only thing I want to do now is to go to heaven. So why was I sent to the world in the first place? I was sinless in heaven. I was sent into the world. I became a sinner. I got saved, and then I say I'm going to heaven. So why was I sent there? Just to be saved and go back? It doesn't make sense. It will look as if God does not even know what he's doing, but that's not true. So the devil gets believers to just stop at salvation, believing that's the only reason why they are here, not knowing that they had other important reasons for being here. Before he said, before I formed you in the belly, wow, I ordained you a prophet to the nation. Before I formed you in the belly, I ordained you a prophet to the nation. Before I formed you in the belly, I ordained you a prophet to the nation. Before I formed you in the belly. He didn't ordain you to salvation. Salvation you must have. But beyond salvation, The essence of salvation is actually to get us to do the work we are supposed to do here. The essence of salvation is to get you to do what you are supposed to do here. You know? To get to survive what you are supposed to do here. So what are you supposed to do here in the first place? That is the whole essence of salvation. Become saved, then you are now equipped to be able to deliver the essence of your being born. So if I see salvation, which is a means to an end, as the end itself, then something is wrong. The way it is today for many people, salvation is the end. But in my opinion, salvation is a means to an end. There is an end that God had in mind when he created man. That end was messed up. The Lord now made provision for salvation so that it can bring man back to the means, give man the means to the end. For example, I'm created to be fruitful on the earth. But to be fruitful, I need to be in alignment with God. Sin came and separated me from God. That means I cannot be fruitful to fulfill my purpose on the earth. He brought in salvation to bring me back to him so that I can be in alignment and now become fruitful and fulfill my purpose. So salvation is a means to an end. It's not the end. But we see it as the end. So people become saved, then they become useless. Waiting for God to come, Christ to come. Waiting for the second coming, they become useless. They are no more useful on the earth because they are waiting for salvation to go to heaven. You have been saved already. But this is a deception of the devil. The deception of the devil is that people will not fulfill their purpose on calling. They live a very useless and meaningless life on the earth. Even though they make it to heaven. No wonder the Bible says the Lord will wipe away tears from their eyes. Because some people will cry in heaven when they realize that many things they should have done on the earth, they were not able to fulfill even 10% of it. Because they never really discovered their purpose and fulfill it. They were saved, restored back into fellowship, but they were not able to fulfill their purpose. This is a more potent attack of the devil on believers today. So we discuss attack of the devil through lies. We discuss attack of the devil through deception. We discuss attack of the devil through doubt. Doubting what God has said. We discuss the attack of the devil through fear. We discuss the attack of the devil through sin. We discuss the attack of the devil through mind. That was what we discussed last week. And today we are looking at the attack of the devil through discouragement and disillusionment. Let me start today's session by clearly saying that I believe in prayers. I'm not against prayer. I'm only enlightening believers on the scriptural way we have used prayers today. Prayer today is seen as the master key and the only key that a believer needs to get things done in the kingdom. But prayer is a tool. It's not the master key. It's just one of the keys. There are doors that prayer will not open. It's forgiveness that will open it. There are doors that prayer will not open. It's trust in God that will open it. Faith in God that will open it. There are doors that prayer will not open. It's love and kindness that will open it. So prayer is not the master key. It's just one of the keys. Prayer is like a tool to be used by believers to fulfill their calling on the earth. The goal of this series, therefore, is to get believers to love prayer so much that it is done regularly because they are ought to pray always. You know, you pray in your action. You pray through your words. That's the common one. But you pray through your thoughts. You pray through your action. Because anything you do is a prayer for a result to come. Because every day, whatever you do, a student that is not reading, that's a prayer for failure. A student that is reading, that's a prayer for success. Your action is prayers. For many, They pray through their words, but their action is against their prayer. When the Bible says men ought always to pray and not to faint. Prayer is beyond what you say. That is why many believers pray, but nothing changes in their life. After this man, I say, pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So one of the essence of prayer is for the will of God to be done on the earth. The priority of God in prayer, before you ask anything, is to focus first on what he wants you to do in his kingdom. Focus first on what he wants you to do in his kingdom. Believers today are used to unanswered prayer because they have abused prayer. Ye ask not and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. That ye may consume it upon your lust. A very potent weapon we are considering today, which is a weapon of attack of the devil against believer, is discouragement and disillusionment. Many believers are discouraged and disillusioned. The church of today is setting people up for discouragement and disillusionment by the kind of prophetic declaration and promises they give people every week that does not make any change in their life. Rather than teaching people how to live a meaningful and impactful and result-oriented life, we just declare on them and think something will happen. When you want to become a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse, why don't you go for a prophetic declaration? Someone just declare on you. I declare you to be a doctor, and you begin to perform surgery. I declare you to be a lawyer, and you begin to represent people in court. I declare you to be an engineer, and you begin to repair. You don't get that by impartation. You get it by learning. You get it by learning. So no amount of prophetic declaration that will impart skill on you. Skill must be learned. That is the order of life. That is the principle that God has set forth on the earth. Skill must be learned. It's not imparted. So when your prayer is against the principle that God has set forth, God does not answer that prayer. He doesn't answer the prayer. So when people receive all this prophetic declaration and nothing changes in their life, they become discouraged and disillusioned. They even begin to wonder if God ever answered prayer. This is because the promises and declaration does not happen or come to pass in their lives. It therefore creates a gap between their expectation and reality, and this leads to stress. Stress level in your life is directly proportional. The level of stress in your life is directly proportional to the gap between your expectation and your current reality. The level of stress you have in life is directly proportional. The level of stress you have in life is directly proportional to the gap between your expectation in any area of your life. Your expectation in academics, your expectation in your finance, your expectation in relationship, your expectation in anything versus your reality. The wider the gap, let's say you are believing God for ₦1 million, and at the end of all your efforts, you made 200,000. The level of stress is directly proportional to the 800,000 naira difference. Your reality is 200. Your expectation is 1 million. You see that gap? It creates stress in your life. The higher the gap between your expectation and reality in life, the higher the level of discouragement, the higher the level of disillusionment that you face in your life. Disillusion is disappointment. disappointment. The devil ensured that many religious leaders promise what they know, what is not possible. And the reason is to greet their ego and pride as a great man of God. Some will say, if I be a man of God, so and so will happen in your life. This week, this will happen. This week, this will happen. And you come back next week, nothing happened. Look at this. Someone will say, if I be a man of God, no one is going to be sick in this church this year. If you believe that, you must be whoever believes that is a big fool. In Africa, infected with mosquito, with many things you eat not very hygienic, you say you will not be sick, you are joking. With the level of stress, with the polluted air, you will not be sick, you are joking. You will be sick. You will face, it just did. So talking to a congregation of about 5,000, 10,000 people, nobody will be sick this year, and you believe it. That's not true. That cannot happen. Because the natural law of nature, we are breaking it daily. And remember, anytime you pray against the natural and you are breaking a natural law of nature, that prayer will not be answered. The law that God has set forth on the earth, the prayer will not be answered, no matter who is praying it. Because God that put that law in place is the one that's supposed to answer that prayer. So, like saying, if I be a man of God, nobody will be sick this year. No one will face challenges this year. But this is not possible because these are challenges is one of the reality of life. Challenges is one of the reality. In fact, to say you are not going to face challenges is to say you are not going to grow. Because you really cannot grow in this life and become something in life without challenge. Because what makes you a great person is the level of challenge you have been able to overcome. That's what makes you great. The level of challenges you're able to overcome is what makes you great. When you say someone is great, greatness is an aggregate or aggregation of all the challenges he has overcome. So how do you then say you will not have challenges? All of us face challenges every day. It's only come in different shapes, sizes, color, height. The higher the gap between your expectation and your reality, the higher the stress in your life. The reason why Satan engineered discouragement and disappointment through religious leaders in churches is because, one, is to enable the devil make you to lose your faith. The reason why the devil ensures you are discouraged is so that you can lose your faith. And he knows without faith, it is impossible to please him. He wants you to lose your faith in God. The devil wants you to lose your faith in God. That's why we ensure you are discouraged. That's why we ensure you are discouraged. Another purpose of disappointment of the devil is to ensure that you lose your faith in God. You lose your trust in God. So a scripture says, "Oh Lord, how long shall I cry that thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save." This scripture is the sound of a person who has been discouraged and disillusioned. The greatest damage of discouragement and disillusion is these two questions. One, the first one is, why did it happen to me? Why me? The second is, where is God when this was happening to me? The reason why you are saying why me is because you are surprised that it is happening to you, even though it is common among men. But because someone has told you that you are different, you are special, you are immune to problems and challenges, you're not asking, why me? Why is it happening to me? Why not you? If you know that all things work together for good, then you realize that when God allows a challenge, he has a reason for it. When God allows a challenge, it has a reason for it. Sometimes it will make you stronger. Each trial will make you stronger. And if you are able to stand, you will be able to overcome the next one. That's why when you fail a trial, a challenge, you will repeat it. When you fail it, you will repeat it. When you pass it, then you move on to the next one. In life, it's either you are getting ready to enter into a challenge, or you are already in one, or you are just coming out of one. We all have challenges. They just come in different color, different shape, different sizes, and different area of our lives. For some, it's in their family. For some, it's in their business. For some, it's in their job. For some, it's in their children. For some, it's in their health. For some, it's in their, just all of us, we all have our own fair share, please. Immediately you accept this as a normal thing for human, you will not be discouraged because you have a challenge and be asking, why me? Why God? Why me? Where is God? This statement, where is God, presupposes that God is not fair to you. And God is nowhere to be found. Please note that at times like this, God is there and is near you. But what he could have prevented in his power, he allowed in his wisdom. Did you get that? What he could have prevented through his power, he allowed in his wisdom. Did you get that? So focus on God's love. So this situation does not mean that he has forsaken you. Focus on the fact that he knows you. He knows what you are going through. He knows the end. And his desire is to give you the expected end. And the expected end is for you to overcome. He said, in the world, ye shall have tribulation. Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. So focus on the fact that God is always near to the broken heart, to the humble and contrite spirit. He is despised and rejected of men. A man of sorrow, acquainted with grief, and we did, as it were, our face from him. He was despised. We did esteem him not. So Jesus was despised and rejected of men. A man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. Acquainted with grief. Jesus is acquainted with grief and sorrow. Therefore, he knows exactly what you are going through. He knows exactly. So there's nothing that happened to you that caught him unaware or that he's not aware of, because he sees the end from the beginning and he has your interest at heart. So the question then you should ask yourself is, if you really trust God and you believe in God, if you trust God, if you believe in God, and you know you are his daughter, you are his son, and he loves you, and he wants the best for you, don't you think it's unwise to think that the challenge he allowed, he has a better reason for it? He has a better reason for it. You know, when I was in primary school, I remember I wrote the Federal Common Entrance and I wrote the Unity School Common Entrance in primary 5, and I passed. For one reason or the other, my dad did not allow me to go. He said I must do primary 6. So I did primary 6. I now wrote common entrance and enter another school, not the school I would have gone. The school I would have gone, most of my friends went to that school, but I went to another school. When I was in that other school, the story I was hearing about my friend in the other school I could have gone were terrible. When they were in SS class, they became terrible students, jumping the fence, bad student, even suspended from school. These are my friends in primary school. We could have been together in secondary school and I would have been suspended from school. I don't even know how my parents would have dealt with that. But for one reason or the other, God ensured my dad did not allow me to go to a boarding school. I went to a day school. So I was always at home. And along the line, I gave my life to Christ in secondary school. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, look, when God allows some things in our lives, let me tell you another one. When I started business, I had a challenge. I did a particular business and I borrowed money and I lost a lot of money, including my money, my wife's money, and my investor's money. I had to pay my investor back over many years. But do you know the knowledge of what I learned in those losses, I use it to train bank today so that when they are financing those sectors, they are more careful. So I've made more money from banks than what I lost because I trained the bankers in that area. You know, but when I was having that challenge, it was like the world is coming to an end. I'm talking about a lot of money, tens of millions, a lot of money. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that, and this was about 10, 11 years ago, but I realized that God, if He allowed it, He has a reason. It might have been because of your foolishness, but He sees the end from the beginning. So can you just trust Him for a moment that if He allowed this to happen to me, He has a better plan for my life? Jesus has been rejected. So He knows exactly what it means to be rejected. Jesus has been rejected. So He knows exactly what it means to be rejected. He knows exactly what it means to be rejected. Jesus has also been despised. He has been scorned. He has been humiliated. That means He knows what it means to be despised. He knows what it means to be scorned. He knows what it means to be humiliated. That is basically saying that He knows exactly what you are going through. That is why He is the one that understands you and therefore will give you the needed support. That is why you are even still alive, in spite of the challenges. This is why you should not focus on challenges that you are going through, but rather focus on Him, on God. But rather focus on Him, on God. In the day of prosperity, be joyful. In the day of adversity, consider. In the day of prosperity, be joyful. In the day of adversity, consider. God also has set the one over against the other, to the end that man might find nothing after him. In the day of challenges, don't complain. Always remember, he has your interest at heart. Before I was afflicted, this is David. This is David. David said, before I was afflicted, I went astray. But now have I kept thy word. Before I was afflicted, I went astray. But now I have kept thy word. Then he said in another place, it is good for me to be afflicted. It is good for me to be afflicted. Can you imagine? Lord have mercy. And some people will be telling you challenges is bad. David, in retrospect, said, it is good for me to be afflicted. Do you know what Joseph said? Joseph said, you think you sold me into slavery. You are not the one that sold me. God sent me here to preserve you. So it was not you that sold me. You think you sold me. God allowed it. It was not you that sent me. It was God. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. So when the devil thinks what he's doing is for evil, God meant it for good. When the devil thinks what he's doing is for evil, God meant it for good, because God said all things will work together for your good. David said, it is good for me to have been afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. That I might learn your statutes in the day of challenges. What you are to do is not to complain, but to consider that that is to think about what God wants you to learn in that situation. To think about what God wants you to learn in that situation. The challenge of focusing on this word of faith movement, people, is that it is one-sided. The word of faith movement focus only on what you can do through faith. They don't focus only what your faith can do to overcome challenges, but how your faith can help you to get good things of life. This is not a balanced life as a Christian. That's not balance. That's not balance. That is not balance. Another challenge of believer that believe in holiness is thinking that if only you live a holy life, nothing can go wrong in your life. I don't know if anybody have told you that before. That as long as you live a holy life, nothing can go wrong. You are joking. You are not perfect in knowledge. Is Jesus not living a holy life on the earth? Was he not crucified? Jesus is an example of reason why you should not believe that because you are living a holy life, you will not have challenges. Because Jesus was living a holy life, they crucify him, they kill him. So that means that those experiencing challenges of life, it is because they are living in sin. But that's not true. That's not true. Either you are living in sin, you are born again, you are not born again, you are tall, you are short, you are big, you are small, you are fair, you are black, you are brown, you are yellow. It doesn't matter who you are. We all face our own fair share of challenges. Let me tell you my conclusion on challenges of life. And this was based on my experience as human in the short life I've lived. Your disposition to the challenges of life is going to determine whether that challenge is going to be a refining fire or a consuming fire. Your disposition to the challenges of life is going to determine whether that challenge is going to be a refining fire or a consuming fire. Your disposition to the challenges of life. You know, when sun shines on wax, it melts. When sun shines on clay, a clay that have water in it, a soft clay, it becomes hardened. Same sun shining on two materials, the results are different. What makes it different? The content of what that material is made of. The content of what the material is made of. The content of what the material is made of. The content of what the material is made of. What shows up in your life when you are facing challenges is based on the material you are made of. The devil meant it for evil, to make you lose your faith. Or if you have an understanding of God, of scriptures, of the Bible, you know all things will work together for good. It's thought towards you. It's thought of good, not of evil, to give you the expected end to come out of that challenge. Devil wants you to lose your faith in God and become disillusioned and discouraged because of challenges. It is a spiritual attack. It is a very potent spiritual attack of the devil. But many don't know. They get discouraged. They forget about God. That's why people today will tell you Jesus is a scam, God is a scam, Bible is a scam. Why would they not say that? They will say that because most things they told them were only the good things. Nobody told them that in the world you shall have tribulation. Nobody told them that they that shall live godly in Christ shall suffer persecution. Nobody told them that even in the midst of those challenges, God will make it work together for your good. I've only learned about the good part. You know, there is this song. It says, the God of the good time is the God in the bad time. The God of that day is the God of the night. When things go wrong, he will make them right. The God of the good time is still God in the bad time. The God of the day is the God of the night. The God of the good time is still God in the bad time. The God of the day is still God in the night. So this means that those that experience challenges of life, it is because they are sinning. That's not true. The messages you should be hearing in times of discouragement is the one that will make you to know what to do at such times. Don't waste your pain because it can be converted to principles. Don't waste your pain because I'm not a good chorister, Victor. Don't waste your pain because it can be converted to principle. Don't waste your mess because it can be converted to message that will bless others. Don't waste your pain because it can be converted to principles to bless others around you. Don't waste your mess because it can be converted to a message that will bless people around you. The challenge of disillusionment is that if you are living right bad things and bad things are happening to you, you will rather start living wrong because there's no benefit to living right. Did you hear that? Another challenge of disillusionment is you're asking yourself, if I'm living right and bad things are happening to me, then I would rather continue to start living wrong since there's no benefit to living right. So some people will decide to backslide and live anyhow because there's no benefit to living right. Don't worry, you will sing it for me when I finish. These two questions that you are not to ask, which is, these are the two questions you're not to ask, rather, which is why me? These are the two questions you are not to ask when you are faced with discouragement. Why me? Where is God? These two questions, if you ask them, they will kill you, destroy you in a time of discouragement and disillusionment. In a time of discouragement and disillusionment. Also note that the reason why you need faith is because you don't have the answer to all the challenges of life. This is because if you have all the answers, then faith is no longer needed. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. If you have all the answers to challenges of life, then there's no need for faith. So the fact that you don't have answers is the reason why you need faith. And you know with faith, you can please him. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. Ladies and gentlemen, now that you have known this thing, happy and blessed shall you be if you do them. All right, let me hear from Victoria. Victoria, you have seen the song and let me have your comment. Hello, Victoria.
Sir.
Yes, we are singing the song now.
Are you serious? You want me to sing the song? Wow. I think thought of it, sir. Thank you for the privilege. The God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, you make them right. And the God in the good times is still God in the bad times. The God of the day is still God in the night.
Thank you. Thank you. What have you learned tonight?
First of all, I want to say thank God for you, sir, for sharing this truth with us that about challenges of life. Just like you said, when people think Christianity is scam because of the fact that there is there is a false hope that's been given, like when you're born again, all these challenges you're facing will be over, find them again. And whereas people come in and then they see something else, they find out that these challenges are still like constant, they're still there. But the truth is that we have Christ, and because we have Christ, we are more than conquerors. So thank you for sharing this truth, sir. Okay, so what I've learned, overcoming satanic attacks that come through discouragement or disillusion, that's disappointment. It boils down to one thing, which is knowing that God is love, and that if we believe in him, if we truly are believers, if I truly believe in him, I can always trust that whatever happens is for my good, is working together for my good. I've gone through some things in my life and it's been as if, God, you could have told me I could have prevented this could have been prevented, but why did it have to happen? But just like you said, and it was like why did it have to happen? You could have actually told me, at least you have been doing things together, could have told me I would not have had to enter into this. But just like you said, that what God prevented, what God could have allowed in his power, he prevented in his wisdom or something. What God could have
prevented in his power, he allowed in his wisdom.
what God could have prevented in his power, he allowed it in his wisdom. And truly I've seen it again. I've seen it again and again, even in my family, in my own life personally, my own experiences, that some things that happened that seem to be challenging, that seem to be tragic, that seem to have been bad experiences, I actually found out that they are working together for our good. They are bringing out the best in us. Just like you said, that it could have been in foolishness that I could have made that mistake. But God is so faithful, knowing that in Romans 8, verse 28, that says that all things work together for good to those that love God, who are the called according to his purpose. So if I have that continual understanding that God is love, and whatever is happening to me, even if it's my foolishness, even if it's my mistake, it's still going to work together for my good if I just hold on to God, if I keep having faith in him, and I learn what he's trying to teach me through that mistake, through that which had happened. I will find out in my experience that it's all working together for my good. So I think now is what I have.
Thank you. Thank you for always coming every Saturday. Thank you.
Thank God, sir. Great.
Hello, Victor. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm very well, sir.
Yes. What have you learned tonight?
Oh wow, sir. Actually, this is actually very. I don't even know. I don't know the adjective I used to qualify it because it's actually very enlightening and it's almost like I've not had something like this before. Because and it answered and it has also provided many answers to some of the questions that I have. But thank you for laying the foundation. Yes, let me just go into it. I think into it straight. I think I would like to use the verse that you said that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, and that Jesus Christ said that in the world you shall have tribulation, but it should be of good cheer because we have overcome. And this makes me understand that anytime we have a challenge, you should understand that that challenge is not for evil. It's not to The challenge is not to bring evil, but at the end of the challenge is also is at the end of the challenge is peace, because it says, "My thought towards you are thought of peace and not of evil to give you an expected end." That we should understand that challenge generally is the reality of life that everyone on earth, and I think that that's a very profound statement for me personally, because it said that everyone on earth, that irrespective of who you are, where you are from, your background, and whether you're a Christian or not, that we all have our own fair share of challenges. And it comes in different forms. So people have their own in finance, in health, in career, different places. And you made one statement that was very profound again. I said that your disposition in life will determine whether the challenge you face will either be a refining fire or a consuming fire. I think that was very striking to me, because it makes you understand that anytime you face a challenge is to make you grow. And it said that failure to pass any challenge or trial, you keep on repeating it until you finally pass. That if you don't pass, you keep on going through something similar until you overcome. That's the only thing when you overcome that you now grow, that you grow in it. And that's and I said that how we behave, and you also use the example of clay and also of wax, and also of is it wax? I can't remember the second one, that when the sun comes on the clay, it becomes tough. Why on wax it melts? So I kind of understand that we should have this understanding that challenges is not to make us weak, it's not to defeat us, but it's to make us overcome. And we should always know that even when we make mistakes, that even when because some things happen, not because some things even happen that you can even say this is the cause, that even that we may even count as our own personal foolishness. We should understand that God is still able to make every crooked way straight. That even when you make mistakes through your foolishness, God, because He's the God of Lord and He knows all things from the beginning, He's still able to make everything right. And He said that we should not waste our pain, that it can be converted to principle, and we should not waste our mess. It can also be converted to a message to bless others. I think these are very profound words, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Favor, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are
Good
you?
evening, everyone. Fine, thank you. I really learned a lot today. I don't know what to say. The topic is actually very touchy because for me, I don't know how to put it. So the challenge is quite all right, but I don't know how to say this. I'll just maybe start with giving instances about life, and then I will then share my own experience and what maybe from what I've learned today, how I also what I also applied uh, to it. There are cases of people who, when you were mentioning, sir, when you talked about, oh, because you live a holy life, you expect that things will work out well. So a lady lives a holy life, grows up, is a virgin, marries, and then she doesn't have children. She starts looking for children for 20 years, 30 years, gets into menopause. In some cases, she probably won't even have children at all. This is just a scenario. I can't imagine. I can't imagine the pain and what that person will be thinking at that point. What exactly? What is he learning? Or what is happening? So that's just one example.
Now,
Another example
hold
would
on. Please, I love your examples. I want us to take it one by one. The second example, hold the thought. Don't forget to. I want to say something about that. You see what you just said now, eh? If my interpretation is that, life is so unfair, I don't have my own kids. But you could have interpreted it like, maybe God is preventing this baby from coming because I might die in the course of giving birth. If you think that way, you'll be thanking God that the baby is not coming. Because God sees the implication of that baby. Maybe that baby is the one that will even kill you. Because he prevented it. If you think about it, interpret it correctly. Like Joseph, Joseph would have been very hateful and destroy his brothers. But he interpreted it correctly. He said, no, you are not the one that sent me here. That is correct interpretation. You are not the one that sent me here. God sent me here. So the way we interpret challenges is what determines the way we act about that challenge. So there's someone, I didn't have a child for 7 years. That someone does not have a child at all. It's not the end of life. Mother Teresa did not have a child at all. But today, many people are grateful that he came into this world because of many babies that he was able to help to see good life. Our interpretation is so important. Go ahead with the next one.
okay. So I was also going to cite an instance of a lady living a holy life. As a single person, gets married and probably gets married to the wrong person, or in less than a year, she's divorced from that person. And she kicks back and says, okay, I know there are promises in the word of God. I know there are things that God has said, and I followed them through, maybe through secondary school, through the university days, through all of that. And at the end of the day, um, she probably gets maybe a cheating or a beating husband, and that wreck her marriage. Now she tells herself she has raped.
Now, sorry to cut you. Look at that interpretation. Chastity is not a recipe for good marriage. Marrying as a virgin, marrying as a holy sister, brother, is not a recipe for good marriage. To have a good marriage, you need to learn how to live with people. You need to love your husband, love your wife. So if you do not understand how to live with people, and you do not even understand the fact that there are principles that you should have guided you in choosing, because some people believe they will just pray, if God told me this person, I will just marry that person. They've forgotten that they could have made mistake in believing that this is the person. Rather than also going to double check on what they believe God is saying by checking other information and facts about the person, they wouldn't do it. Now, let me now tell you, even when you make mistake in marriage and you become separated, God will still make it work together for good. The person could have killed you because of domestic violence. So what I'm going to say in essence is that whenever we are faced with a challenge, the way we interpret it is so important. And if you look at that situation with the lens of the scripture, you will interpret it correctly. Because you know it will work for your good. That God have allowed it because of something good. And you think of something good that could have come out of it. Then it will be easier to deal with the situation. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So the very last one, I was just going to use myself as an example. Going through life, especially because of the way challenges come, like what we learned tonight, that it's either one is in a challenge, one is just coming out of it,
Or getting ready to
one
enter another one.
it's actually very, I don't know how to put it, but I believe that I've learned something tonight, to always see the good side of it and to see building our faith. So I went through a challenge last year, and it was just, I don't know, it was just out of the blue.
You
So
didn't
I got
share
a
it with
call
me.
from my, I just do remember. I just didn't remember. I got a call from my house school that she tried a chair. I was trying to help put on a projector and just fell off.
Wow.
After that, she hit herself, and then there was a swelling, and nobody knew. The teacher was even nonchalant because she was like, "Oh, don't worry, she'll get up." And then she gets up, and later on, the swelling became so big, it busted, started bleeding. In
Wow.
fact, it was really serious. That was in November. It was, in fact, that day, I don't know what I was thinking in my mind. I just know that when I left from the office and rushed down there, we rushed out to the hospital to imagine see what I was like. Ah, God, I don't know. You just said in your word, oh, call upon me in the day of trouble, and I will answer you. So I'm calling upon you. I don't know what else to say. But I want to thank God that God actually worked it out.
Yeah.
And just now, while you were explaining, is where I was also picking the fact that, oh, rather than look at the side that, oh, okay, this happened, I should look at the side that, oh, thank God, God even chose to spare her life. Who knows what the enemy had planned, and who knows what could have gone wrong if
Yeah.
nobody had taken, the school didn't take any moves to try to rush her to the hospital or something, but God made provisions. I believe that in the times of those challenges, the word of God too that we have inside of us, or the things that we have known, just like you have mentioned about the content, about what is inside of the person, what the person is made of. Those things that God has promised, those things He has said, um, serve as encouragement, serve as things that help us to fight through it. But sincerely, sometimes it's so challenging because it's sometimes like out of the blue, just a normal morning, you just have your bath, or just going about your normal activity. You're not expecting that kind of call, and the next minute, and the hospital spending days um, because the child is admitted. So it's really challenging. I want to thank you, sir, for this. I think one of the things again I took away from tonight is to begin from tonight's class is to begin to think of the positive side, to begin to think of um yes, this could have I could have wanted this, but God did this because He knows that it is better and it will work better for my good. But at the face of that particular challenge most times, it's always very difficult to see it. We try to struggle with it, especially when we think that probably this is a normal mentality for most believers, where we think that probably we are immune to those things. But the truth is, like you said, sir, those afflictions are actually it's a part of life, and if we embrace it more, if we have a change of heart as to how we see these challenges, then we'll be able to forge ahead and become better persons. Because having come out of it, even in the course of the class now, I thought of something. I said, okay, I'll share with my daughter and say, look, okay, tell me what you've learned from that experience. And then
Yeah.
maybe I could use that to teach her a bit about certain things
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, Victor, I can see your hand. Ask your question, please.
Oh, okay, sir. This is just like a follow-up to the let's say the question of the last speaker.
Okay.
Actually, I have a question and also one question. I think let me start from her. She said that she gave the example of maybe someone that was a virgin that got married and it's okay, and in some cases, person never had a child, and he said that maybe the interpretation could be that maybe God knew that if she had a child, the child should have may have killed her. But I'm like, in the normal order of life, it is normal that everyone should be reproductive. I mean, should be like, I don't want to use the word fertile, but it's just
But yes, now it's normal, but in this case, but it's also in the course of delivery, many people died. Are you aware of that?
Yes, yes, I'm aware. Yes.
God created that for a purpose, and the purpose that God created that for is more important to God than the child coming into the world. So if a child coming in will make this woman to die in the course of child, God can see that.
God can prevent her from dying too, because he has all power. I said God is also able to prevent her from dying because he has all power. So
No. So that's the challenge. What is the priority of God? Is it the child coming to the world is priority of God, or what God wants her to achieve? So we assume that God will do everything. God will not do everything he's capable of doing. There's so many things. Is Nigeria good right now?
No.
Can God kill Buhari and put the right person there?
Yes.
Why is he not doing it? So the fact that he can do it does not mean he will do it, because he sees the end from the beginning. So we can't say because he will do it, why don't you do it? You're not the one that will dictate. He is a sovereign God. He has a global picture. He knows why he's doing what he's doing and why he will not do what he will not do. So if you have that picture, is global picture. Let me give you an example. Someone make an illustration about Joseph. He said, if Joseph's mother were still alive, because of the ties between them, Joseph might not have stayed in Egypt. When he ran away from Potiphar's wife, he might probably ran back. But that the fact that the mother died, probably God allowed it so that Joseph can lose touch with home and just stay in that land to be able to fulfill his calling. And maybe that was why the mother had to die early, while he was still young. That is more important to God, because it will help God to be able to use Joseph to preserve the patriarch who are going to become Israel, through which Jesus will come. That's more important to him than Rachel being alive. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. The second question.
Okay.
About the sovereignty of God. Then my own, because I just wonder that sometimes that because in the Bible we said that we should have faith in God, that with God it is impossible. So when we are facing a challenge, when we know that God is sovereign and he can do all things, so what is not a piece of faith? Because God knows that you have a challenge. So is it to what end or to what extent should we now exercise faith? Because at the end of the day, God still has the power either he's going to do it or not. So exercising faith, should we just watch and
there are two ways to exercise faith in that situation. Faith to change the situation. When you believe God for a situation to change and it's not changing, don't wish the situation to change again. Rather, be asking God what he wants you to learn in that situation, because he will definitely make a way out afterwards. Only that you need to learn something in it. You need to learn something in it. So your faith should not be believing that he has a better plan for you. And because he has a better plan, what does he have in mind? What does he want you to learn so that you can be able to fulfill this purpose for this pain? Rather than wanting to change. Because if you want it to change, if it's his plan for you to go through that pain, he will not change it. Rather, for you to go through it so that you can become who he wants you to become, for you to become useful to him. Do you know that if Joseph did not, when I look at Joseph, is a very classical example for me. Each time I look at his life, I see new things every time. Do you know that Joseph had to go to prison for 2 reasons? Number one, he needed to meet the people that would mention him in palace. Number two, he needed to be able to understand different cultures of Egypt in one location. Egypt have different ethnic group and culture, but every ethnic group have foolishness and stupidity. So all of them are represented in the prison. And he was able to superintend over all of them. He could understand them. He needed that knowledge to be able to rule Egypt correctly. So his going to prison was necessary, even though it was a painful experience. Does it make sense to you?
Mm.
So when you look at it with that prism, you will be able to appreciate when God allows some things. Those are the principles that should guide us when we are facing challenges. That this thing that is happening, it could have changed, but it won't change it if he has a better plan. You is the one that knows his plan. What we need to do is, where we are exercising faith now, is to trust that he has a better plan and just follow through on his plan as it unfolds to us. Does it make sense?
Mm. Yes, sir. But we should say exercise faith, because sometimes it be like God knows if this situation will be over or not.
Exactly.
Like,
you cannot stop exercising faith. Only that you now exercise faith, not to change the situation, but to give you. In fact, sometimes what I pray for is grace to go through it, because I know it will soon be over. There's always dawn after night. It's always darker before the dawn. So it will be over. That one is sure. What I now pray for is faith and grace to go through it till it's over. You know? All right. Yes, Favor, I can see your hand again.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask a question, sir.
Go ahead.
My question is, there are cases where we actually call for those challenges. Maybe by things we have done, we actually find ourselves in challenges.
Yes.
Now, in this case, at what point do we say, "Oh, yes, this is God's will for me," or "No, this is me that just made a mistake"?
No.
At what point?
Now, the challenge can be either allowed by God without you getting involved, but most of the time it's because of our foolishness. It's because of our negligence. It's because of our short-sightedness. It's because of our limitation. So as human being, you will always make a mistake. Just accept your mistake. There's nothing you can do about it. So either it was your fault or it was not your fault. God will make all things to work together. So don't bother if it's your fault or not, because even when it's not your fault, or even when it's your fault, it will still make it work together for good. You will face the challenge, you will face the pain, you will went through the stress, but it will make it work together for good afterwards. Joseph, going back to Joseph, Joseph's foolishness is what made his brother to hate him now. Joseph will be telling his brother he will rule over them, and you think they were looking at him. They will do something bad, he will go and be reporting. He was doing this to provoke his brother now. He shouldn't have been telling them about his dream. They hated him because of his dream, not even because of the clothes or money color, because of his dream. When they sold him, they said, let's see how his dream will come true. It was Joseph's foolishness. But right in the midst of that foolishness and the action of his brother, God made it work together for good. Look, God is an orchestrator of circumstances. He's an amazing God, I'm telling you. He's an amazing. Each time I sit down and analyze my life and things I've faced in life and how it turned out, I just raise my case. The Lord is just he's a master planner. He knows how to get the devil to do the dirty job. And he will take the glory after the dirty job. Yeah, Favor, we wanted to say something.
No, thank you, sir. I just want to say thank you.
All right. Victor, your hand is still up, but you have another question.
No.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week. Now, next week we are going to be starting, it's still under prayer, but a new sub-series. And we'll be looking at the reality of evil and Satan. The reality of evil and Satan. After that, we will talk about the power of the weakest Christian. The power of the weakest Christian. Then we'll talk about believer. The believer is above all Satan hierarchy. A believer is above Satan hierarchy. Then we'll now begin to talk about overcoming forces of evil. Then we'll now talk about the weapon of our warfares, from the breastplate of righteousness to our shield of faith to the field shed of gospel of peace. All those weapons of our warfare, how do we deploy it to be able to overcome the devil? See you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and bye-bye.
Thank you.